Yo, say lesser cause this right here. This is the one the street's been whispering about. And now it's time to expose the real reason YNW Bortlen snitched on YNW Melly. Yes, you heard that right. The whole YNW brotherhood? Crumbling right before our eyes like a stack of fake $100 bills in a rap video. What was once loyalty, blood ties, and for life tattoos has turned into subpoenas, sealed courtrooms, and betrayals that got fans shocked and the hood buzzing like a barbershop on a Friday. Word on the street is, Bortlen didn't just break, he folded. But what made him do it? Was it the fear of life behind bars? Did the feds offer him a deal he couldn't refuse? Or was there something deeper? Maybe a secret Melly been hiding all along that Bortlen just couldn't hold in any longer. We're talking about hidden audio tapes, phone calls that should have never been recorded, and even family members turning on each other behind closed doors. This ain't just a case, it's a full-blown soap opera wrapped in murder, loyalty, and betrayal. Keep watching, because the truth, it's messier than a backstage fight at a BET Awards after party. Let's get into it. It all started with a strange silence. When YNW Melly's double murder trial took a turn and the courtroom got too quiet, fans knew something was up. It wasn't just the prosecution pressing hard anymore. It was the defense, the whole energy, the vibe. Everything felt off. Whispers began swirling on social media. What happened to YNW Bortlen? Why was he missing from the court gallery? The same one where he used to show up front row, iced out, expressionless but loyal. It wasn't long before people started connecting dots. And what they found out, man, it shook the culture. YNW Bortlen, once known as Melly's right-hand man, the silent muscle behind the chaos, the one who rode with him that night, Jamel Demons allegedly pulled the trigger, was now the one talking. Yeah, sources close to the case claimed Bortlen had secretly flipped, gave the feds information, and Loki agreed to testify in exchange for a plea deal. The internet couldn't believe it. Fans were posting old interviews, music video clips, even jail calls where Melly would refer to Bortlen as his brother. But apparently, that loyalty didn't hold up once them prison doors slammed shut and reality hit hard. Behind the scenes, Bortlen had been under pressure for months. Apparently, the feds had new evidence, something that had never been made public before. And when they showed it to him, it wasn't just about what happened that night in the car, it was what came after. According to sources, Bortlen had been part of the cleanup, allegedly helping to stage the crime scene, driving the car around with the two deceased victims inside for hours to make it look like a drive-by. And that made him just as liable. He was facing life, no parole, and that's when the story starts unraveling. See, Bortlen wasn't just snitching out of fear. There was tension building for a long time. Privately, Bortlen felt like Melly had thrown him under the bus. One of their last phone calls from jail had been leaked, and you could hear the frustration in Bortlen's voice. "Bro, you good in there, but out here, everything on me," he said. Melly, always cryptic, had just laughed it off. But Bortlen didn't. In his mind, he had sacrificed everything for Melly. His freedom, his peace, even his own family turning against him for standing by Melly's side. And when Melly's lawyer started suggesting that the shooters were unknown third parties, not naming names but clearly pushing attention away from Melly, Bortlen started seeing the play. It was all being positioned to make him look like the one who pulled the trigger. That's when he snapped. Insiders say Bortlen called his lawyer and said, "I'm done protecting him." From there, it was a domino effect. Within weeks, Bortlen had been moved to a separate facility. Visitation logs showed secret meetings with federal agents. His family stopped speaking on the case. His Instagram went dark. No new music, no interviews, nothing. Silence. The kind of silence that only comes when deals are being made behind closed doors. And that wasn't even the wildest part. Turns out Bortlen had kept a stash of receipts, phone logs, text messages, even voice memos, some of which allegedly had Melly admitting to the setup. One message, supposedly recorded just days after the murders, had Melly saying, "They gon' believe whatever we show 'em. Keep your mouth shut." Bortlen had held on to that for years, refusing to release it, hoping the trial would go in their favor. But now, that same message might be the nail in the coffin. What makes this even crazier is how Melly reacted. As soon as word reached him that Bortlen had flipped, he lost it. Jail insiders reported a violent outburst, punching walls, screaming at guards, refusing to leave his cell. They said he was pacing back and forth like a lion, one inmate told the media anonymously. Like he couldn't believe his own brother would do him like that. But this wasn't just betrayal. It was survival. Bortlen knew the walls were closing in, and if he didn't speak now, he'd be the fall guy forever. Fans are torn. Half the internet still ride for Melly, claiming it's all a setup, that Bortlen's statements are being twisted by the feds. But others say Bortlen finally came to his senses, realizing Melly never really had his back. And the evidence? It's stacking up. Sources claim that apart from the voice memo, Bortlen also showed agents a GPS map of the route they took that night, a route that contradicts the original story and places them nowhere near where the supposed drive-by happened. If that's true, it blows a hole right through Melly's defense. And it's not just court stuff. There's real emotional drama too. Bortlen's mum reportedly confronted him in a tearful visit, begging him not to betray his brother. But Bortlen told her, "He ain't been my brother since the day he let me rot." Family members who once posted Free Melly hashtags are now silent. And Melly's own team? They're scrambling. One of his attorneys quietly stepped down from the case. Rumors of infighting among the defense team started hitting forums and Reddit threads. It's a mess. What nobody saw coming, though, was the third party, an anonymous ex-girlfriend of Melly's who claims she knew the truth the whole time. In a now-deleted Instagram live, she said, "Melly told me straight up what happened. He thought he was untouchable. Bortlen was just the driver, but he got caught in it. I told him this was going to catch up." Fans screen-recorded the live before it was deleted, and clips are still floating around online. Some people call her a clout chaser, but others are saying she might be called in as a witness. Of this saga winds down, the lines between loyalty and self-preservation are getting blurred. One thing is clear, whatever brotherhood Melly and Bortlen once had, it's gone now. And with Bortlen allegedly agreeing to testify, the entire trial could flip on its head. Imagine being Melly, sitting in that cold courtroom, and the person walking in to point the finger at you is the same one who helped carry your career, your secrets, your crimes. And just when you think you've heard it all, wait till you hear what's in that leaked jail phone call that Bortlen made after meeting with the feds. It's cold, calculated, and changes everything. The phone call that started it all dropped like a nuclear bomb on social media. Leaked by someone close to the case, though no one's taking credit. It was a brief but chilling 90-second jailhouse call from Bortlen to an unknown contact. In the audio, Bortlen's voice was low, almost emotionless. No fear, no regret, just facts. "They asked me what I knew. I told them what really happened. I ain't going down for something I didn't do," he said. A pause. Then the most damning line, "He did that sh*t. I just helped clean it up." Fans were stunned. Blogs ran with it. YouTube reactors were dissecting every breath in that audio. And Melly's supporters. They were scrambling to make sense of it. Suddenly, all the Free Melly campaigns started looking shaky. People started pulling up old posts, old lyrics. Even Melly's own interviews where he hinted that certain people knew too much. One fan tweeted, "So all that time we thought Melly was protecting Bortlen, but really, Bortlen was the one covering for Melly." It hit different. Inside Melly's camp, chaos erupted. A source close to his legal team said they were blindsided by the call. "It's like we were building a defense based on loyalty, and now the key witness has flipped and torched everything." One of Melly's cousins, who'd been managing some of his affairs on the outside, went live on Instagram. He didn't name names but said, "Some people just built weak. Pressure hit and they folded. Ain't no loyalty in this game no more." But that wasn't all. Turns out, Bortlen's cooperation wasn't just a one-time statement. According to documents that allegedly leaked from the courtroom, Bortlen had entered into what they call a proffer agreement. That means he sat down with prosecutors multiple times, laying out everything he knew in exchange for a reduced sentence. Insiders say he gave them the timeline, who was in the car, who had the gun, and even where certain physical evidence might have been ditched afterward. And here's where it gets real messy. One of the key pieces Bortlen reportedly gave up was a buried duffel bag, hidden somewhere near a lake outside of Gifford, Florida. According to his statements, that bag contained the clothes they wore that night, possibly even the murder weapon. If that evidence still exists, and if law enforcement can recover it, it could be game over for Melly. Because as it stands, the prosecution's case has always lacked one big thing, the murder weapon. And now, thanks to Bortlen, they might have a lead. Meanwhile, Melly's reaction behind bars has gone from anger to complete shutdown. Jail sources say he stopped taking visits, stopped calling family, and even refused meetings with his own legal team. "He's in there thinking, plotting, but mostly he's hurting," said one person familiar with his situation. It's not just a legal betrayal, it's personal. Bortlen was family. They came up together, broke bread together. This wasn't supposed to happen. Back in their hometown, the streets are talking. Some folks are siding with Bortlen, saying he got caught in something he never wanted to be part of. Others see him as a snake. One of their old friends, a local rapper who used to perform with them, posted a story saying, "Both of them made choices. Don't act like Bortlen innocent now. He was deep in it. The city feels split." You got neighborhoods arguing in barbershops, debates breaking out in group chats, and even fans overseas picking sides like it's a rap version of Game of Thrones. But here comes the twist. Nobody saw coming. Remember that anonymous ex-girlfriend of Melly's? Well, she wasn't done talking. After her first Instagram live got taken down, she went live again, this time with screenshots. In one message, allegedly from Melly, he warns her to keep your mouth shut unless you want to disappear too. She claims he sent it after finding out she'd spoken to someone from the defense team, and she wasn't the only one he'd allegedly threatened. A second woman, known only by her initials KJ, came forward with a voicemail. In the recording, a voice that sounds eerily like Melly says, "Bortlen gon' get what's coming to him. Nobody cross me," and walks away clean. Now, it hasn't been verified yet if the voice is actually Melly's, but that didn't stop fans from going wild. Twitter blew up with the hashtag #NotchMellyExposed, and even some of Melly's longtime supporters started saying, "Maybe we got it wrong." Meanwhile, Bortlen's defense team released a carefully worded statement. Mr. Henry has decided to cooperate, not out of disloyalty, but because the truth matters. He has been unfairly painted as the primary suspect when evidence suggests otherwise. They didn't mention Melly by name, but they didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly who they were talking about. And yet, for all the drama, there's a side of this story that's still unclear. Bortlen's motive. Was this all about survival, or was there something deeper? Some say Bortlen felt used, others claim there was jealousy. One theory floating around is that Bortlen was promised money from Melly's label to keep quiet, and never got paid. He held it down for years, said one fan on Reddit, but when the money dried up and the heat turned up, he said, "Forget it." There's also talk of a falling out over a girl. According to a former mutual friend, both Melly and Bortlen were messing with the same girl around the time of the murders. She played both sides, and when Melly found out, he allegedly confronted Bortlen in a private phone call from jail. "You broke the code," Melly allegedly told him. The argument reportedly ended with Melly hanging up on him. Could that be the moment the loyalty snapped? By the time the prosecution filed their new witness list, Bortlen's name was right at the top. The same guy who was supposed to ride for Melly until the end was now the key to his potential conviction. And just when it couldn't get any crazier, one of Melly's old producers dropped a bombshell interview. Sitting down with a small podcast, he said, "I remember Melly came in the studio 2 days after the murders. Quiet, different. He wasn't grieving, he was calculating. He told me, 'We good now. Dead weight gone.' I ain't know what he meant at the time. Now it all makes sense." With Melly isolated, Bortlen talking and the world watching. But there's more, because what Bortlen said next to investigators didn't just implicate Melly, it pulled in a whole new name, someone no one expected. So boom, just when fans thought the drama couldn't get any deeper, Bortlen dropped a name that turned the case on its head. In a follow-up session with investigators, sources say Bortlen revealed that there was someone else involved that night. Not just Melly, not just him, but a third player who had never been mentioned publicly. Someone close, someone trusted, someone who had been flying under the radar this entire time. According to Bortlen, this person wasn't just there. He allegedly helped plan the entire thing. The name and the entire thing. The name? YNW Sackchaser's own cousin. Yeah, the same Sackchaser who lost his life that night, allegedly at the hands of someone he called brother, might have had a family member helping plot behind his back. Sources say this cousin, whose real name is being withheld for legal reasons, had deep tension with Sackchaser over money, street debts, and an alleged fallout involving a failed side hustle that went south. And according to Bortlen's testimony, he was in on it from the jump. He knew we was going to ride that night, Bortlen allegedly told prosecutors. He gave the green light, said it was time. Fans were speechless. How could someone turn on their own blood like that? But when old tweets and videos resurfaced, the picture started getting clearer. Months before the murders, Sackchaser had posted a cryptic message. "Watch who you call family. Snakes come with the same last name too. Nobody thought much of it back then, but now it hit different. Reportedly, Bortlen told feds that this cousin wasn't in the car during the actual shootings, but he was involved in the setup, and more importantly, the cover-up. After the murders, he allegedly helped wipe down the car, destroy evidence, and even coached Bortlen on what to say to police. And the wildest part, he was the first one to go silent after the news broke, disappearing from social media, relocating out of state, and never once speaking out about Sakchaser's death. Now he's under investigation, and if the prosecution decides to charge him, this case could explode into a conspiracy charge. Melly, Bortlen, and this third man all looped in together. Meanwhile, the families of the victims, Sakchaser and Juvie, are devastated. They'd already been dealing with grief, confusion, and unanswered questions, but now, learning that one of their own relatives might have played a role, it's betrayal on another level. Juvie's aunt took to Facebook in a heartbreaking post saying, "We thought we'd lost 2 boys. Now it feels like we've lost 3. How do you grieve when the people who should have protected them were plotting against them?" Emotions ran high at a recent vigil. Fans and family gathered to light candles and release balloons. But this time, the energy was tense. There were whispers, side eyes, and even a minor altercation when someone shouted, "They all knew what happened." Police were called to break it up, but no arrests were made. Still, the damage was done. The family, once united in grief, was now divided by suspicion. And behind bars, Melly was spiraling. Sources say after hearing that Bortlen brought up Sakchaser's cousin, Melly went completely silent. No reaction, no emotion, just cold, like he knew it was coming. One inmate claimed he didn't say nothing, just stared at the wall like he's seen a ghost. Some think he's in shock. Others say he's plotting again, figuring out how to survive the trial of the decade. But it's not looking good. Prosecution is now expected to rebuild their timeline, using Bortlen's new statement to show premeditation. And that right there, that's what takes this from murder to first-degree conspiracy to commit murder. Life without parole, possibly even the death penalty if they push hard enough. And with Melly already facing 1 mistrial and being retried, this is not the position he wanted to be in. What's worse, Bortlen isn't done talking. According to insiders, he's agreed to testify live in court, under oath, in front of Melly. Imagine that. The man who once took that ride, helped carry the bodies, kept his mouth shut for years, now standing on the witness stand and pointing directly at his former brother, saying, "He did it." And let's be real, fans are shook. The YouTube comments are wild. People writing, "I can't even listen to murder on my mind the same way no more." And this whole story feel like a movie, and Melly the villain. Others are blaming the system, saying they pushed Bortlen into flipping. But most are just watching this unfold like it's Netflix. Even the rap game is reacting. One major rapper, who was rumored to be working on a collab with Melly before his arrest, tweeted, "Loyalty only real till them court papers hit the table." Industry folks are backing away. Melly's music still streams strong, but his brand, it's tarnished. Sponsors are pulling out. The label's gone quiet, and nobody wants to touch the case, not until the trial's over. The money's drying up, fast, and behind the scenes, Melly's own team is crumbling. One of his producers recently unfollowed him on Instagram, then posted a cryptic story. "Can't stand behind fake energy no more." Insiders say there's pressure from his label to settle, maybe even take a plea, but Melly refuses. He's still claiming innocence, still saying Bortlen's lying to save himself. But is he? That's the question tearing apart the fan base. One side thinks Melly's being sacrificed. The other side thinks Bortlen's finally telling the truth. But one thing is clear. Somebody is lying. And when that trial begins, it's going to come down to whose story the jury believes. And speaking of stories, there's one more plot twist that changes everything. Remember that GPS data Bortlen handed over? Well, turns out there's video footage too. Dashcam. Grainy, low quality, but enough to show the car circling a neighborhood multiple times. After the time the murders supposedly happened, that footage completely contradicts Melly's original alibi, and if it's allowed in court, it could be the final nail in the coffin. The internet stood still when YNW Melly finally broke his silence. After weeks of radio silence, cryptic behavior, and a defense team drowning in doubt, Melly dropped an audio message through his Instagram account. Recorded from jail, voice low, but voice sharp. It was short, but it was fire. They trying to flip the whole story. That man lied on my name to save his own. But the truth can come out. I ain't fold, and I ain't forget. Fans went crazy. His core supporters flooded the comments. Free Melly trending worldwide in less than an hour. But it wasn't just the message, it was the timing. Because just hours before, new documents had surfaced showing that Bortlen had been offered a reduced sentence of 8 years in exchange for full cooperation. That's right, from a possible life sentence down to 8. It was a slap in the face to everyone who had been rooting for justice, especially the families of the victims. Satchez's sister posted a furious Instagram story writing, "They're letting the accomplice walk for snitching. Where's the real justice?" Juvie's cousin called into a radio show and said, "They're rewarding betrayal. It's disgusting, but Melly, he wasn't done." The same night that statement dropped, his legal team made a bold and dangerous move, filing a motion to suppress Bortlen's entire testimony, arguing that the state had coerced him into snitching by threatening his family and lying about the evidence. It was a long shot, but it was strategic. If that motion went through, Bortlen would be discredited, and without him, the state's entire case. And here's where it gets even crazier. While the court was reviewing that motion, Melly's team dropped another bombshell. A counter-witness, someone who, allegedly, was in contact with Bortlen during his time in custody, and claimed that Bortlen admitted to lying under pressure. According to the affidavit, this witness said, "Bortlen told me he ain't really see who shot who. He was ducking down when it happened. All he knew was they was dead, and Melly was in the back." This statement could throw doubt on Bortlen's entire story. Suddenly, the media narrative shifted again. Was Bortlen making it all up just to get a lighter sentence? Melly's fans thought so. They started circulating Bortlen cap and even dug up old videos of him stuttering in interviews, acting nervous. Podcasts began debating whether his whole testimony was just a survival tactic. "He wasn't loyal, he was scared," said one YouTuber. "You give a man a choice between life in prison and 8 years. He'll say anything." But then, out of nowhere, Bortlen clapped back. In a surprising move, Bortlen's team dropped a second statement, saying Melly's message was an attempt to intimidate a witness, and warning that further harassment would be reported to authorities. Fans were stunned. Had this whole case now turned into a war between two co-defendants? It was no longer just Melly versus the state. It was Melly versus Bortlen, and the courtroom. That's where the real fireworks exploded. On the first day of Bortlen's scheduled testimony, Melly sat stone-faced in his orange jumpsuit, staring him down. Bortlen, brought in under protective escort, refused to make eye contact. The room was dead silent as he raised his right hand and swore to tell the truth. And then he spoke. He told the court everything, from the ride to the setup to the moment he realized what had happened. "I didn't see him pull the trigger, but I heard it. And when I turned around, Juvie and Sack was slumped, and he was just sitting there smiling. Said, 'We good now?' I was scared. I ain't asked no questions. I just drove." Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Melly didn't flinch. Bortlen went on to describe how they tried to clean the car, get rid of the gun, and create the illusion of a drive-by. "It wasn't my idea," he said. "I just did what I was told." When asked why he didn't come forward sooner, he said, "Because I thought he'd protect me, but he left me out to dry." And then came cross-examination. Melly's lawyer came in hard. "So you admit you didn't see him fire the weapon?" he asked. Bortlen hesitated. "I didn't see it, but I..." "So you're just assuming?" the lawyer cut in. "You're guessing, based on fear and pressure. Isn't it true that you only agreed to testify after being offered a sweet deal?" Bortlen didn't answer. The tension in the room was thick. This wasn't a murder trial anymore. It was a full-blown war story. Betrayal, silence, and shattered loyalty. But the biggest twist, during the cross, Bortlen slipped up. In a moment of nervous tension, he said something the prosecution didn't expect. "We were all scared of him, even the cousin." Just like that, the court froze. Melly's lawyer seized the moment. "The cousin? Are you saying there were others who feared retaliation?" Bortlen looked to the judge. He knew he had said too much. Court went into recess. And when they returned, the cousin, the one Bortlen had exposed, was now being subpoenaed for questioning. And with that, the case cracked wide open. The jury looked lost. The timeline was a mess. The motives were blurred. And Melly, still claiming innocence, still stone cold, still playing chess while everyone else played checkers. Now here's where the story leaves us. With Bortlen's testimony halfway discredited, and a new witness entering the mix, the entire case is up in the air. It could go either way. Melly could walk, Or he could spend the rest of his life in a cell. Because one thing's for sure, this is no longer about who pulled the trigger. This is about who's willing to lie, and who's willing to live with the truth. And just like that, the YNW empire has officially collapsed under the weight of its own secrets. What started as a brotherhood tighter than blood has turned into a courtroom circus, a betrayal-filled soap opera, and a case so twisted, even Hollywood couldn't write this. YNW Melly, once on top of the world with platinum hits and a cult-like fan base, is now locked in the battle of his life, facing decades, if not life, behind bars. And YNW Bortlen, the man who once vowed silence, loyalty, and never folding. He's now the prosecution's star witness, dragging everyone down with him in exchange for a deal. And the fans, divided, emotional, and confused. Some say Melly's the victim of a dirty system. Others say Bortlen finally gave the families closure. One thing's clear, the truth may never be black and white. But the biggest question still hangs in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Who's really telling the truth? Is Bortlen saving himself by flipping the story? Or is Melly the mastermind who got caught up in his own evil genius? And what about that cousin? Will he face charges? Will Melly survive this trial? Will Bortlen ever rap again, or be blackballed for life? Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Bortlen snitched out of fear, or did he just finally come clean? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this ain't over. Not by a long shot. And if you want to stay locked in on the wildest stories, the realest drama, and the rawest takes in the rap world, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on them post notifications, because we're bringing you the truth they scared to talk about. This is Candidly Cassie Meets Say Cheese TV, and you just got the realest breakdown on why YNW Bortlen snitched on YNW Melly. Stay tuned. It only gets crazier from here. Peace. It only gets crazier from here. Peace.